Good morning.
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 Very, very good to see you all here today. Looking forward to this. I think I'd like to just go ahead and jump in, and hopefully a few others will join us. I want to start with a reading. I've been cheated, been mistreated. When, oh, when will I be loved? I've been put down. I've been pushed around. I've been pushed round. When will I be loved? When I find a new man that I want for mine, always breaks my heart in two. It happens every time. I've been made blue. I've been lied to. When will I be loved? Rumi said, our task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all barriers within ourselves that we have built against it. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. I want to talk about two aspects of this morning and then let you respond, see what you think, how you feel about it. The first part of this, I think, has to do with the seeking for love. The moment that I am seeking for love outside of myself, the moment I'm looking for validation, the moment I'm looking for someone to meet my needs, to give me love, make me feel loved, I'm on the wrong track. When we seek outside of ourselves for love, for meaning, for purpose, we are using the limited time that we have, the limited energy, the limited effort in a very wrong pursuit. And you can say, well, there's nothing wrong with seeking. Seeking, every great spiritual leader that's ever lived told us we should seek, right? Even Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God, right? But Jesus also said, the kingdom of God is within you. Instead of going out, we need to go in. Instead of me constantly looking for someone to love me, others to make me feel loved or good about myself, or I need to realize that the source of all love is in the very core of who I am. And it is in the core of who you are. Everything we need is within us. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. The second part of it is the barriers. And I have made a list of what I think are some of the barriers that I have built up against love. The number one that I just talked about is seeking, is looking for something outside of myself to give me what I think I need. Another one, and as I share these, I'm inviting you to look within to see if you have built up any barriers to love. You may not have. I may be the only one. Another one for me is my ego. Ego always says, ego's always in a defensive position. Ego's always, ready for a fight. Ego's always saying, be prideful, don't show any vulnerability, keep your guard up. Ego says, you got it. You don't need anyone. You don't need love. My ego is my enemy and keeps me from, it's a barrier. It stops the flow of love. Lately, I've spent extra time looking at the things within me that are blockages to the flow of love, to the flow of life. And I've been picturing them as small blockages within arteries where maybe a stent needs to be put in or some kind of procedure needs to take place to keep something massively bad from happening. A huge one, a huge barrier of love and blockage of flow is unforgiveness. My ego says someone has wronged me, bless my little heart, and I hold a grudge against that person. And I don't let love flow in me and through me to them. My lack of vulnerability is a barrier for love. Rumi also said, the wound is the place where the light enters us. If I'm not willing to embrace my wounds, if I'm not willing to be open and vulnerable, there's no flow. There's blockage. There's barrier. My self-sufficiency, self-reliance is a barrier to love, to the flow of love, to the great flow of life. My emotional and moral perfectionism is a huge barrier. My sense of self and of security and of identity is a huge barrier to love. My desire to be a freaking love hero and savior, helper, caregiver, caretaker is a huge ass barrier to the flow of love. My strengths are a barrier. Now, they don't have to be, because every single strength I have is also a weakness, has the shadow side of weakness that accompanies it. And if I would embrace that, and if I would integrate those two things, then the one would allow for the vulnerability of the flow of love. But when I don't, when I rely upon my strength and pretend like I don't have the weakness, pretend the weakness doesn't go along with it, then I am blocking, I am building up barriers to love within me. I could go on and on and on, but I will stop there and invite your response, your thoughts, questions, anything you have to share.
Michael.
Yes.
Where does lack of empathy fit into those 8 bad characteristics you gave there?
Definitely, that is lack of empathy or compassion is a huge barrier to love. And I would say that not only does that include compassion and empathy for others, but for ourselves as well. When we allow the inner critic to take over, if we're listening to that voice, if we're being overly critical of ourselves, that's a huge barrier to love. But the same is true when we allow that same critic to be so critical of others, to judge them, to write them off, to condemn them, to fail to put ourselves in their place, the work of compassion, then that's an enormous barrier. You're absolutely right.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I want to thank you. This is a super important topic, especially, so close to February 14th, right? I know last Valentine's Day, I renamed that day Laundry Day, as that's what it was for me. It was laundry day, and I did all my laundry, and then I had a very long romantic walk with myself on the beach at sunset, and it was breathtaking and magnificent, and we were very happy together walking on that beach. I thanked my heart that day for being open to the beauty of that day, and I thanked my heart for pumping blood, because really that's my heart's job, is to pump blood, and it did a good job that day. I think about I've been single for several points in my life, sometimes for a very long time, sometimes not for such a long time, but I think I'm an amazing person. I don't think that my being single is a flaw in my character. It's often a choice that I have made, but yet how many times did somebody say to me something to the effect of like, oh, how come nobody scooped you up? And I'm like, I'm not, a pound of trail mix at Whole Foods to be scooped up, and now we think of scoop is like a date rape drug. So like, I don't want to be scooped, okay? I shan't be scooped. And then, you think about, I hear this a lot. Oh, they've been married for 65 years. They must be doing something right. Well, I was married for not 65 years, but a chunk of years. And, I don't know that you can necessarily assume, first of all, it's nobody's business. But I don't know if you could just assume that because somebody's partnered for XYZ 20, 30, 5 months, 60 years, that, that makes them an inherently better person, right? So I'm thinking of this more from a standpoint. I haven't really thought about, the barriers to love so much as how it's okay to not be paired up. Yes. You're still amazing if you're just, you're your own person. If on Friends, you're my person. Well, at the end of the day, you need to be your person. Loving others, I do think it's everything. It is everything. But no one can complete you, and no one's going to save you if you don't love yourself and give your life its own meaning first, and then once you have that meaningful life, if romantic life somehow fits into that life that you've created, then heck, that's just an added bonus, right? But I do think that the idea of like a soulmate is essentially a miracle. I see that as nothing short of being a miracle. And for anybody to be able to find that, you know, I salute you, but you really need to, you know, love yourself first. I guess that's said the same thing over and over. So anyway, signing off.
I want to thank you so much for everything you just shared, and to say that I didn't even think about this in the context of Valentine's Day. It didn't even occur to me. And you're right, it's perfect. It could not be. The timing is so perfect. I just love that. And I do wish everybody would stop looking for a savior and put me out of a job. That would be that would be nice. While I'm thinking of it, I do want to wish you a happy Laundry Day. All of you. Hope y'all have a great Laundry Day. There is a notion that I love what you said about the thing people constantly say about finding someone to complete you. If we need someone to complete us, we're not in a good place. What if we found someone to complement us, someone to partner and connect, but not complete? Not that there's, because and that again goes back to seeking outside of ourselves for something that we already have. You are love. It's who you are. It's the center of your being. That's who you are. And what you need is there. What I need is there. And how much time have I wasted looking for that outside of me? And that doesn't have to just necessarily be in a partner. That's an obvious, and again, on the context of this weekend, but a guru, you know, some sensei, or a tribe, community. Nothing wrong with any of those things if they're in their proper place. But if we're stuffing those in to try to fill that gaping hole inside of myself, then it's the problem. Thank you.
Michael.
Yes.
This really is an interesting topic, and I don't dwell on it at all, but I think it's because I've lived through it for so many years. I think our culture plays such a large part. Maybe we give it too much part on how we are to become. And we see people that are paired up, and we look to others for validation. And I remember being a kid and telling my mom I wanted to have friends, and for some reason I wasn't having very good luck. And I'm a total extrovert, so I find that hard to believe. But she told me once, and it was such wise advice. She said, if you want to have a friend, you have to be a friend. And so that means you have to open yourself and be vulnerable so people can come in and take a look and see if they like something about you, and then they will come to you. And it was only years later that I learned she got all her wisdom from the Proverbs. But when I started looking around to see who I could befriend, I ended up having a lot of friends. And to this day, I am a total people person, which is why I joined your group, because I like your books. I like you. I like the way you act in your community. I really enjoy the photos of you and your family. I love those. But I see that and I'm like, well, you're doing what you're doing in your hometown, and I could do something here in Bartlett, Tennessee. And in my neighborhood, I could do some things. And it makes me open to other people. And I love that. I just love that, how it makes me feel, but also that I can help others. And I really think that's what life is all about. You cannot live inside yourself and think that you're going to have a wonderful life, because you're going to be miserable. And I just really enjoy this topic. It is, and I think more people should sign on and think about this topic. It is so important to how we can fit into the greater world. and not just think it's all about me, because there's not anything about me, really. But that's all I got.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. You know, the how this specifically relates to then doing for others and helping others is, until we connect, until we reach in, until we remove the barriers and really get in touch with the love that is at our center, we have less to offer others. And so many times we rush out attempting to help others, trying to validate ourselves, trying to fill a hole, trying to, where if we would get right and remove these barriers and really let love begin to flow, it flows to us first. Love your neighbor as yourself. We love ourselves. We have that flow of love in us. We are complete. You know, even the scriptures use the word perfect, but it really means complete. It's like fruit that has become to maturation. Once we're that, then we have so much more to give. And you look again at the example of Jesus. Very often, early in the morning, late at night, his followers lost him. They couldn't find him, and they went, and he was out doing that. He was out removing those barriers, preparing, and then the rest of the time he spent giving, but he had something to give. And so many of our so-called leaders in every area, would name any area, business, religion, politics, the arts, entertainment, whatever it happens to be, are just so depleted. And what they're doing is for trying to get some kind of validation, trying to get some kind of ego, you know, satiation for what they're doing, and wanting that adoration that comes from others, that applause, that, you know, worship, rather than having everything they need and then just sharing that. Thank you so much for what you shared.
Hi, guys. I love everything thank you so much for this powerful topic. And I love that you didn't even realize that we're talking about love on the week of Valentine's Day. That just feels like, you know, really amazing. What comes to mind is that for me, listening to everyone's wonderful shares, is that the longest and the deepest relationship from beginning to end that I will ever have is with myself. You know, in the end, it will be just me and myself, really. And what you were saying is so true. It's being that, and I have trouble with it, being that best friend, or treating myself the way I would a best friend or a good friend. And that is what I try to remember to do to develop that relationship with myself, and to feel and find that love. Because when I do that, when I treat myself as my as I would a best friend, like you said, I have more to give to others because I've filled the love up in myself first. I think one of my blocks is acceptance, right? Acceptance of myself and all of my flaws, and when I can be softer towards those and recognize my humanity, then I am able to do that for others. Like you were saying, that forgiveness of myself, and then forgiveness of others, and then the love can flow. And one of the other things I was thinking is a big block for me is knowing that it's okay to make mistakes for myself, and it's okay for others to make mistakes. And like you were saying, just that forgiveness. Yeah, wonderful topic. But I do think that it starts with myself. And I can be doing this simultaneously. I don't have to have complete love of myself in order to love other people. Right. I can do this and work on this simultaneously. But yeah, as the more that I have it inside me, the more I can give to others. It's when I'm looking externally that I become reactive. And that if I don't feel like I'm having it or getting it from others, then all of a sudden I don't feel that in myself. And I feel like that's when I begin to feel like I'm not enough if I'm looking for it externally. And when I'm looking for it inside, I know I already am enough. I already am valuable. I already am lovable. That's all I got. Wonderful topic, guys. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you so much.
You know, that's one of the things that we would just really need to cut each other some slack, especially ourselves. Don't be so hard on ourselves, you know, just we are not perfect, and there's no situation where I can see that we're going to be perfect in this life.
Right.
We just need to give ourselves a break, you know, and yeah, there you go, Denise. Yeah. Give each other a break, you know.
Love that.
The so many of the things that we get involved in relating to others, we can do the same action and it can come from a good place or a bad place. If I am saying, I desperately need you to love me, I desperately need you to approve of me, I desperately need you to validate my worth and my value, I'm in a bad place. That is not a good place. If I feel love and I have the flow of love and I've removed to the best of my ability at this point, those barriers, and love is flowing, then I connect with you in love. And I have need of your love. I have need of expression to both give and receive love, but it's not out of desperation. It's not out of filling a void that I have. And that's the difference. And I think the most important thing we can do, I believe, is look at where are we coming from? Examine that. Am I reaching out of love that does not include desperation, that does not include the need for validation, that is not out of ego, but it is out of heart, out of spirit, out of love? And just that simple question of our motivation. What's behind what I'm doing? What's the need I'm trying to get met? Will change everything, you know, truly. So I just encourage all of us to spend some time seeking inside to see if you're seeking love outside, and to spend some time looking for those barriers. That life force of blood, that is spiritual blood, that is trying to get to our hearts, becomes blocked by these various things, the ego, unforgiveness, whatever it is. You know, you have to figure out what yours are. But we can reverse that plaque of unforgiveness, of ego, and have this new flow. And I think the most important thing we can do is have the flow of love within us, and then get into the flow of life. The Taoism that teaches the Wu-Wei, effortless action, effortless effort. We are doing a lot, but it's not striving and stressing and straining and forcing. It's a flow, because we've gotten into the flow. If we can get into the flow of love in us and through us, we'll more easily, readily get into the flow of life.
Michael,
Yes. Yes.
same thoughts in a little bit different words. I'm attracted to people that are they're satisfied in their own skin. I'm attracted to happy people that have contentment, can have serenity. I think these qualities are just the opposite of the things that prevent love.
Right. That's exactly right. And we're taught that a tree is known by its fruit. And if you see good fruit, the fruits of the Spirit, there is joy, there is love, there's peace and patience and kindness. And all of these things says there's good roots. The source is good. There's good things happening to produce that fruit. And if there's not good fruit, then there's an issue. And it's entirely possible for us, I believe, to have good fruit and also some branches that are diseased and need attention, need nurturing, because there's a certain blockage in this area that we need to examine and to break up and let it flow. But you're exactly right. You can tell when someone is in a good place, coming from a good place. They've done this work we're talking about, and it does lead to a joy that is palpable. And people who are similar, like-minded, like-spirited, will be attracted to that. But then people who need that, who don't have that, will also inquire, how can I get that? You know, it's a good example, and probably will lead to opportunities to share and to give, to let the flow through us to others. Any final thought anybody wants to share? Yes. Anybody? Okay. I want to say again, I truly believe my task is to stop seeking for love and to start seeking within and root out every barrier that is preventing the flow of love, preventing me from receiving love, preventing that love from flowing into me and then through me. Just think about that. Think about what the world needs, what everybody you encounter needs, that love. Well, in order for it to get to them, it has to flow through you first. Think about what you're receiving in terms of that love before it ever reaches anyone else. In support group that I've been involved in and various things I've read recently, in talking about self-healing and self-nurture and self-care, it often uses the analogy of the airplane's going down. The first thing you have to do is put the mask of oxygen on yourself. Then you can help others. And that flow of love is going to do so much for us first. And then it will be such benefit to others, to so many. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so grateful and I appreciate you. And I commit to each one of you to continually work on my barriers and try to be a better, more loving person, receiving the source of love, going within, and then hopefully it'll just spill out. It'll just slosh out. I hope it just pours out automatically, just without effort. I love you all. Thank you. Yes.
I'm sure glad you had this on a Monday. This makes the whole rest of the week start on a positive note.
Nice. Absolutely.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Laundry Day.
Yeah, that too.
Take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.